So, bear with me here. This is going to be a pretty bumpy ride, but I wanted to talk about this anyway. Yesterday, we made a video talking about the New Jersey Devils and the Carolina Hurricanes game. And as you can tell by the title and the thumbnail, it wasn't a good night for one Devils defenseman, Luke Hughes. He scored 2 own goals, which allowed the Hurricanes to win the game 3-1. And the fans in New Jersey started booing him every time he held on to the puck afterwards. If you want to see the goals, we didn't show the footage per se in yesterday's video, but we skimmed through it by screenshots so you can get the general idea. There were 2 big brain farts on behalf of Luke Hughes, the youngest Hughes brother, the most expensive Hughes brother, a guy that fans have had enough with, somebody that was getting the boos rained on him, and a guy who was getting cheers when he would get body checked by players of the Carolina Hurricanes, aka the opposing team. New Jersey, y'all are sassy in this 2026, eh? But here's the thing with Luke Hughes. We did speak about this yesterday, but a lot of the angst towards him seems to be coming from a number of factors. Firstly, it's the fact that he is making $9 million a year. That puts you in a territory where you're literally making the same amount of money as Cale Makar. You are making more money than Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes. There are only 11 defensemen in the National Hockey League that are making more money than Luke Hughes at $9 million a year. And Hughes is making more than guys like Moritz Seider, Miro Heiskanen, Jake Sanderson, Victor Hedman. I mean, the numbers speak for themselves. This is a young guy that was given a big money deal because they want him to become good, but he's just not there yet. And that's not a bad thing. Signing a long-term, big money contract is obviously not going to make you instantly amazing right now. The expectation is you'll grow into it and you'll be worth it in a few years. But for Luke Hughes, unfortunately, it's not like he has necessarily progressed year by year. And on top of the fact that he held out in the summer to get as much money as he could, left a bad taste in a lot of Devils fans' mouths. And then I think at the very bottom of the totem pole of importance is the fact that Hughes is a Hughes. The fact that his last name is Hughes probably contributed to him getting that $9 million AAV in the first place. A lot of people have been saying this, but Luke Hughes is a relatively normal defenseman who gets 40 points a year, who ended up signing a $9 million AAV deal somewhat as a family tax because Quinn and Jack are underpaid. There are so many elements to this Luke Hughes contract situation and the frustration that Devils fans feel, but a lot of it just boils down to the fact that Luke Hughes is on pace for yet another 40-point season in a career where he has only had 40-point seasons. And the upward signs of development don't necessarily look like they're there. It doesn't look super obvious that Luke is going to become better because he's just kind of meh. For Quinn Hughes, it was like, yeah, no, this guy's cooking. You could see it year after year. He's getting better. He is improving his game. He is improving elements. He is one-upping himself as the next seasons come by. Luke Hughes hasn't done that yet. He's relatively similar now compared to what he was before. And all of these aspects combined form a package of a player that isn't on the receiving end of much fanfare and love from New Jersey Devils fans these days. Especially when he goes out there and buries the puck in his own net twice in the same game. Which is why we are going over onto what Elliotte Friedman said on today's edition of 32 Thoughts the podcast. Because this is absolutely going to ruffle some feathers. It's not an update or anything, it's just spittin'. But it's Elliotte Friedman, so I wanted to go out there and record this sentiment here. Let's take a look at what he said on the 32 Thoughts podcast about Luke Hughes getting booed. You know what I was thinking watching this situation go down? And I want to stress this is just me. I've got no intelligence telling me this is what's happening, but the thing I was thinking about watching that was, what is Bill Guerin thinking? Bill Guerin, of course, GM of the Minnesota Wild, and one of the only GMs in the NHL that was willing to sack it up and shell out whatever assets he needed to trade in order to acquire Quinn Hughes from the Vancouver Canucks. My friends, it is already starting. We are starting to see the sentiment bring itself out of the grave as to whether or not the Hughes trio reunion can happen in another team that's not New Jersey. Could we see Jack and potentially Luke get sent over to the Minnesota Wild to join brother Quinn? The idea that I've seen floating around is, hey, of course, Luke Hughes is a professional athlete making $9 million a year. One night of him getting booed upon by his own fans shouldn't be enough to totally turn him off from being a New Jersey Devil long term. It's not like he's going to go out there and request a trade because they were booing him after 2 own goals. He probably understands it and he probably feels bad, but it's like, you gotta be a professional here, do your job. However, that does open the door for rival GMs like Bill Guerin to look at that situation and start thinking to themselves, things might be a little bit vulnerable with this situation in New Jersey. Is there a chance to go out there and make some sort of a deal happen? Especially when you look at how the New Jersey Devils have not been a good team in general the past little while. Jack Hughes recently came back from injury, but he's not scoring as many points, and I know this because I have him on my fantasy teams. I've been very disappointed ever since he came back. Luke Hughes is scoring own goals and getting booed every time he touches the puck by his own fans, and the team is just in a bad spot. They don't have much upward projection to look forward to based off of who's on the roster and where this potential seems to be going. New Jersey was once a team that looked like they were super hopeful to being a playoff contender, but now, based off of this slump, it's not looking like that's too evident anymore. Is there brand new fragility in the way this team is constructed, and does that lend itself to some sort of a rebuild? Okay, nope, we're not gonna fully dive into that. Maybe a retool with a hybrid form is more appropriate here. But if that's the case, if New Jersey wants to all of a sudden start selling off their assets, you take a look at the Luke Hughes contract, he doesn't have any trade protection until 2030. The first 5 years of this contract that he is on have no clauses whatsoever, so he's free to get traded wherever. But obviously we know that there's this idea within the Hughes hive mind that they want to play together at some point. So Bill Guerin might have a big opportunity to just say, hey, New Jersey, you want to get this going? We're going to re-sign Quinn, so you're not going to get him. How about you just send us Luke and Jack? Jack Hughes, on the other hand, he doesn't have any trade protection either, but then again, Jack Hughes is genuinely very good. He has been improving and getting better year by year, although ever since coming back from injury, as I said, he's been very rough. But the whole team's been rough, so it's probably not his fault. There is no trade protection for either of these guys. But at the same time, it's like, if they were to get traded, wouldn't Minnesota be their #1 destination at this point? So, Bill Guerin, there's an opportunity here. You might want to shell out all of the other valuable things that you have. You can get rid of Brock Faber if you want. Yes, it doesn't make sense to get rid of Faber for Luke Hughes. One's a righty, one's a lefty, but if you're bringing them both on to keep Quinn Hughes from leaving like Vancouver did by trying to give him the captaincy, then maybe it's worth a shot. Who really knows? You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about Elliotte Friedman and this idea of Bill Guerin licking his lips at the Luke Hughes booing situation in New Jersey? Do you think that's something worth thinking about? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.